Ave Regina,
Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark. A leper came to him and kneeling down begged him and said, "If you wish, you can make me clean." Moved with pity, he stretched out his hand, touched the leper, and said to him, "I do will it, be made clean." The leprosy left him immediately, and he was made clean. Then, warning him sternly, he dismissed him at once. Then he said to him, "See that you tell no one anything, but go show yourself to the priest and offer for your cleansing what Moses prescribed. That will be proof for them." The man went away and began to publicize the whole matter. He spread the report abroad so that it was impossible for Jesus to enter a town openly. He remained outside in deserted places, and people kept coming to him from everywhere. The Gospel of the Lord. There is a story in the Old Testament about a priest named Eli and this young boy, Samuel. And they're praying and sleeping in the temple. And all of a sudden, Samuel hears his name. "Samuel, Samuel." So he gets up and he goes over to Eli and he says, "What do you want?" He wakes him up. Because "I didn't call you. Go back to bed. You must have dreamt it." He goes back and he's sleeping, and again he hears, "Samuel, Samuel." He gets up, he goes back over to Eli. "Here I am." Eli looks at him, he said, "I didn't call you. I don't know why you keep coming to me, but go back to bed." So Samuel goes back to bed a third time. He hears again. He goes to Eli. And Eli finally recognizes that this must be God calling. So he gives him new instructions. He says, if you hear your name called again, you're simply to get up and say, "Here I am, Lord. I'm here to listen." "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." So he goes to bed, he hears his name, "Samuel, Samuel." He wakes up, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." Today's first reading in the psalm, we hear, "If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts." God desires to speak to us, to me, to you individually. He speaks to us as a people, but he desires to speak within our hearts. And how often our hearts are hardened. How often we do not hear God speaking to us. And it's not easy. I use the opening story because if over 2,000, 3,000 years ago, Samuel had a hard time hearing God, then how much more difficult maybe today it is for us. We have a lot of challenges to hear God. We have technology, which is great in some ways, but it makes us very fast-paced. It makes our minds constantly fixed on the next thing. It kind of takes away some of our peace. It causes sometimes more anxiety. We're always looking for the next thing and the next thing. It can cause us to be hyper. And when we're hyper, how do we hear God? And some of what the technology does, when I was a little kid, my mom would often scold me when I was watching TV because I'd be right in front of it. She'd say, "Get back." She goes, don't put your face right in front of the TV. It's going to hurt your eyes. I don't know if some people my age and older remember that. And so we would be reprimanded if we're sitting too close. And what are we doing today? All we do is have our little TVs right in front of our eyes, either the phone or the computers. And scientists are showing that it actually is doing something to our brains. It's causing us to be able to not concentrate. It's a true thing. You can look it up yourselves. So that is going to have an effect for us to be able to calm ourselves down to hear God. And the third thing, because of the technology, we're impatient. It's so easy. We're so used to, we walk into a room that's dark, we flip a switch, there's light. We go into a room, it's cold. We turn up the heat. We want to eat something, we go in the fridge, we put it in the microwave. In 1 or 2 minutes, it's hot. We go to a car, we turn the key, the car starts, we go somewhere. And so we're so used to instant happenings that we begin, I think, to treat God that way. And so we're busy, then we sit down, we're like, okay, God, you can talk to me. Speak, Lord. And then after a minute or two, maybe God's not real. Well, maybe he doesn't care about me. How come he's not speaking to me? We treat sometimes God like a machine. God is always speaking to us, calling us into relationship. But today maybe we need to work harder. Maybe it's a little bit more challenging, not because of God, but because of us. We have to work daily. We need to find quiet, like Samuel had. And to be quiet, we need to find some daily time of just do our prayers, do prayers interceding for people. Those are wonderful things to do, but we need to just be quiet and hear. What do you even hear in your mind? What do I hear in my mind when I just stay in quiet? And then see if I do this every day, see if I can begin to hear God speaking to me. No one runs no one says, well, I'm going to go run the marathon tomorrow, 26 miles. They wouldn't expect to be able to do it. They say, I'd like to run the marathon. What do I need to do tomorrow? I need to begin to eat correctly. I need to start running a little bit more each day. And then I'll have the ability to do it. And so if we want to hear God, now, God can break through everything. If he wants to speak to you, just like he will send an angel like he did in the scripture, but because he desires our friendship and relationship, he's always calling us to ourselves, but we need to at least begin to try to get what are the obstacles that are there for me to hear God. And to be able just to sit down. Lord, here I am. Your servant is listening with no agenda. Yes, it's always fine to go bring your prayers to God. Keep doing that. But we need a type of prayer where we just sit and say, here I am, Lord, no agenda. Speak to me, your servant is listening. I think if we do this day after day, we're going to be able to start hearing God more in our lives.
Regina Caeli,
Letare, alleluia, qui aquam meruisti portare, alleluia, resurrexit sicut dixit, alleluia, ora pro nobis Deum, alleluia.